Torah isn't just laws and stories. It's a spotlight pointing to Jesus. Genesis, the promised seed. Exodus, the Passover lamb. Leviticus, the high priest. Numbers, the living water. Deuteronomy, the prophet greater than Moses. From the beginning to the end, the Torah whispers Jesus in the Torah.
Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's Journey Through Torah. This week we're in Parsha Ki Tisa, when you elevate. It's in Exodus 30, verse 11 to chapter 34, verse 35. We start off taking a census, but there's a lot to be covered in this portion. We're last time talked about people being set apart, and now we kind of see how some of this applies and what's to be done. We also see some pictures of silver, gold, and stone. What does it mean to you? What's it being pursuing? And there's a lot to get into. Okay, so if you can, go back and read this Parsha first. Like I said, Exodus 30:11 to 34:35, and then we'll get into the study here. And if not, as you go after you go through this, then go back and read it. Okay, go back and read through these to help us keep with understanding on that. So we're going to talk about three main things today. And we're going to see how they apply to our lives and the different teachings and things that we see here. We're talking about silver, gold, and stone. And that's not comprehensive as far as everything in the scripture, but there were certain things in this portion that this represented. Okay, so let's start off with the silver. All right, silver in the scripture can represent refining, redeeming, and atonement. We see that the silver in the scripture, when it was gathered from the people, it was used for the service of the tabernacle to help hold the curtains together, help hold things together. And so also things that help provide atonement. And so the work of the tabernacle in their midst, it helped for that. So this was a matter of silver representing atonement. We see in Zechariah 13:9, where it says, I will put the third into the fire and refine them as one refines silver and test them as gold is tested. And then they will call upon my name and I will answer them and I will say, they are my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my God. Malachi 3:3, it says, he will set a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver, and they will bring offerings in righteousness to Yahweh. So when we look at Sinai, when we look at what was happening there, we see there was a need for the people to connect and to belong. Okay, the atonement that Yahweh has given to you will be evident beyond your life. Okay, it means how you live and how you do things. It will have an impact on others around you, but also one of the places for Israel was to be a light to the nations. So if Yahweh sets his people apart, it will be noticeable for others in there. So we're seeking to connect to Yahweh, and he makes atonement for you so you can do that. He provides a way for you to have covenant with him. But understand, in that connection with Yahweh, you also have a connection to his people. And so sometimes when we experience a little bit of a disconnect here, this causes problems for us, right? One of the things that happened here, Moshe was on the mountain, the people grew anxious. They desired to see what was going on their timetable and with their own eyes, and this led to them making a golden calf, right? So the answer to this connection that Yahweh's desired for his people, to him and to each other, was given before any of that took place. And we see this answer in the idea of a half shekel. Now, it's how does that come into play? Well, we're getting into that right now. For the half shekel, all of Israel was to give it of a certain age, okay? And none gave more, none gave less. They all had to be equal. They all had to contribute together. So we go back and we look at this. Exodus 30, verses 11 to 16. So it says that Yahweh said to Moshe, when you take the census of the people of Israel, each shall give a ransom. This word ransom, kofar, is an atonement, or this is something that each was to give for his life to Yahweh when you number them. And then there will be no plague among them when you number them. Remember when King David took a census of the people and a plague broke out, right? Because often when you take a census as a king, what are you looking for? Military power. You're looking to see who you got that you can fight, But when Yahweh was taking a census, it wasn't for the people's ideas. It was, again, for Yahweh to help setting the people aside so that they knew where they were supposed to be. All right. So he says, when you take a census among the people, you're to do it this way. And the word that was given, it says, take a ransom, is the word there. It's kofar that's given. Literally, like bitumen or a coating, a covering. Like we even see like with the ark, they're to take kofar, means to cover it with pitch. It is this word that's used here as well. So it's something that covers something. So it's also given as a ransom. So atonement means a lot more than we attribute to it. We often say atonement is salvation. No, there's more to it than going on here, okay? Atonement was a halt to a plague that would come after the census. So atonement was a halt to other things that were coming against the people. Also, atonement was a ritual covering. Atonement's not only forgiveness of something, but atonement is a protection for the people because of things they had given through. We see looking forward, Numbers 10:9, the soldiers aged 20 and up, given into service, right? When they went to war, they were to give this half shekel. It says, if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then you shall blow the alarm with the silver trumpets, again, silver being given there. You shall be remembered before Yahweh, and you will be saved from your enemies. Deuteronomy 20, verse 4, Yahweh is your God, he that goes with you to fight against you for your enemies to save you. So again, the idea of silver being atonement and a remembrance and a protection, all this going in together. So, verse 13, back in Exodus 30, verse 13. So each one who was numbered in the census shall give this, a half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs, half a shekel as an offering to Yahweh. So the shekel, it's not like today, okay, where, and I know prices, money fluctuates, but just say roughly there's 4 shekels to $1. So it's not like there's a bill, that's given there. That's not what we're talking about. Okay. Shekel was actually a unit of weight, a unit of a measurement of weight. So this was a measurement of weight for a certain amount of silver. Okay. So I think today's economy, I think a half shekel of silver, a weight of silver would be roughly, it'd be less than $30 right now. So everyone who is numbered in the census from 20 years old and upward shall give Yahweh's offering. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than the half shekel when you give Yahweh's offering to make atonement for your life. So when this was given, the silver represents an atonement for the people. Again, like it was given, and the service of the tabernacle was put into used for that, for the building and the construction, and then to help continuing with the daily service of it. So in that, no one's more important, no one's less important. We're all the same. Okay? So all the pieces together, representing all the people together, were put together to hold the tabernacle in their midst. And it was a group effort. So as far as a people that are set apart, no one's any better, no one's any worse. It didn't cost more for your atonement than it cost for your neighbor. Okay? We are all the same in that aspect. So we can't look down on anybody else. We're on the same plane. We are all people who are set apart. And then so they would collect the silver, and they would count the silver, not the people, and that's how that was done. So you shall take the atonement money from the people of Israel, and shall give to the service of the tent of meeting, that it may bring the people of Israel to remembrance before Yahweh, so as to make atonement for your life. So again, where it says to bring to remembrance, flash back to just a minute ago, where we talked about the silver trumpets being sounded when the people went to war, and it would be a remembrance for Yahweh. Now, remember, in the scripture, to remember something doesn't necessarily mean to forget, that you forgot, and like, oh yeah, by the way, I guess I need to go do this. No, it's not like that. To remember, zachar is the word that's used there. It means to act on behalf of something. Okay, it's not like you forgot it and now you remember. To remember means that now is the time, it has come for you to act on behalf of something that was said or established or done. Okay, so what is the half shekel? Okay, so the half shekel was used for the service of the tabernacle. No one could give more, no one could give less. The atonement was the same for all. Nobody's better, nobody's worse. The idea is if we could learn that each of us on our own is a half, then when we come in unity, we will be whole. We need to come together with the purpose of the kingdom. Let our half be contributed to the whole, because of the same idea as well. The kingdom's not whole if you're missing. So again, we're all working together. All right. So again, the memorial is from the word zikron, which means the half shekel was a memorial. When we think memorial, what do we think? Something that's set up where it's lasting, something that people can reference, something that people can see. And why is this memorial here? And there's always a plate there explaining why it's there, right? So the memorial was given. So this half shekel is a memorial that was given to the service of the Mishkan. In Exodus 34:23, we see 3 times in a year, all your men children will appear before Yahweh your God and the God of Israel. And this word here again is one who is remembered. They have to go up and have a memorial, one who is remembered, all the ones who are being atoned for to come before Yahweh, and they are to worship him. Okay, let's jump forward a little bit and talk about the gold. Now, in this parsha, we talk about the gold. It's the golden calf. What is the reference and the importance of the golden calf? What happened here? Well, let's go to Exodus 32. Let's take a quick look at it. So when the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down from the mountain, there's something to kind of start right there, isn't it? So when Moses had not come down from the mountain in a timely manner, and not come down in the issue that, well, he should be back by now, right? No, Moshe wasn't on a certain timeline. He wasn't punching a clock. He was there till he was done, and then he would come back, right? But the people grew anxious because they didn't know what was going on. So obviously nothing is going on. So in absence of that, I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's generally the way we are, isn't it? So this is what was going on. So when they saw that Moses delayed, they came down from the mountain. The people gathered themselves together. There's nothing wrong with gathering together, right? We need to be a people that gather together, but what is the intent and the purpose of our gathering? Is it for holiness, for righteousness, or is it ulterior motives? So for our own pursuit, for our own ways, right? And so what was going on here? So they gathered together and they go to Aaron and they say, up, make us gods who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what's become of him. So they go to Aaron and they don't say, hey, Aaron, what's going on? They kind of like come as a mob to Aaron and they're like, you get up, make us a God to go before us because we don't know what's happened to Moses, this man who led us out here. Wow, how many times do we see stuff like that? When Israel's talking to Moses and they're complaining and they're yelling at him going, Moses, you brought us out here to die. Moses, you brought us out here for hardship. Moses, you brought us out here and we don't like what's going on, right? Who are they following? Were they following Moses or were they actually following the cloud and the fire, which was Yahweh leading them? See, Yahweh led them. But again, they wanted to, when they were dissatisfied with what was going on, instead of like blaming God, blaming Yahweh, they blamed Moses, right? So that's what they did. So again, they were a gathering together, and this is like a mass of people. This is a group of people. It wasn't all Israel, okay? Well, we find out later. This is about 3,000 people who did this. That's quite a group, isn't it? Come against one man, and Aaron feared for his life. What does Scripture tell us about when the crowd is going to do things they shouldn't do? Exodus 23:2 says, do not follow the crowd when it does what is wrong. Don't allow the popular view to sway you into offering testimony for any cause if the effect will be to pervert justice. So just because something is popular, just because something seems like it's what everybody else is doing, does not make it right. Don't follow the crowd when they go to do these things. So they go to Aaron and they say, come, Aaron, get up. It's like it was a command. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a question. It wasn't anything. They came to him, they gathered together, and they made a command to him, telling him, get up and make us Elohim to go before us. Because Moses, after all, he's just a man who had this idea. He had grand gesture thoughts. He tricked us all. And he's the one who brought us up out of here, and we don't know what's happened to him. So we're going to do our own thing. And ultimately, the idea, is go back to Egypt is what they were looking to do, right? So what happens? 32 verse 2. So Aaron says to them, take off the rings of gold that are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and they bring them to me. So all the people took off the rings of gold that were in their ears, and they brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with a graving tool, and he made a golden calf. And they said, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow shall be a feast unto Yahweh. Man, there's a lot of problems going on here, right? Okay, first off, where it says that Aaron took the gold and he formed it. The word form is vayetzer, which is where we get the word yetzer, right? Back in Genesis 6:5, we see it says that God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. This word imagination is the word yetzer, which could be better translated as inclination. Things that we form in our mind and in our attitudes within ourselves, things that we form, that we fashion. Okay, so that's it. Given the opportunity between good and evil, they're choosing evil all the time because that's what they were inclined to do. That was the way they were just going towards, and given the choices, that's what they were giving themselves to. So he formed the golden calf. Again, this word imagination given there. Now, for the word for golden calf is egel masakah. Egel means calf. Masakah, or egel, calf, also agol. It's written the same way, agol, which means something that is round, is circular, or in cycles. So we could see, looking here in the golden calf, they turned aside from the path that was commanded them and desired to make their own paths and cycles. I see this man Moses, he went up here. We don't know what's happened to him, so we're going to do our own thing. Right? And this was just after the declaration of the 10 words and the people saying, all that Yahweh has said we will do, and Moshe sprinkling them. This is the blood of the covenant. All of this has already taken place. Okay? So now what's going on? All right, so that's the word for calf. So they wanted to make their own cycles, their own seasons. And when we get into that, Yahweh has cycles and seasons he desires for us, like Shabbat. That's a cycle. The Moedim, all the appointed times of Yahweh, Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Shavuot, right? Even all these festivals, even into the fall. We have Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. All of these are his cycles, his seasons. Well, they're like, no, we want to make our own cycles and our own seasons. We want to do our own thing. All right, so masakah. Masakah is the word for molten. Okay, not really golden, but molten, because he melted it down and he made it, right? So masakah can also be read as a veil or a covering. So something that is molten, what happens? It melts and it kind of droops and it covers, right? So a veil or a covering. Isaiah 25:7 says, he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all the people and the veil that is spread over all the nations. Again, the idea is people are covered over with something they can't see. It's the idea. So the people of Israel, they veiled themselves to what Yahweh was doing. Okay, it's another thing when we take a look and we read through this portion of scripture. Before and after the incident of the golden calf, the commandment of Shabbat was given. You could say it's like a bookends. The commandment of Shabbat was given on both sides of this. Why? Because Shabbat teaches us that we stop pursuing the price of things and start pursuing the value of what was given to us. We stop pursuing our own desires and pursue his. Now, the rest of the week, we got to be concerned about the price of things. The money, the house, the job, the bills, the everything else. But what do we really value above everything? Shabbat, covenant, relationship. So we stop looking at the price of things and start looking at the value of things. Okay, and that's what Shabbat is to do. We value our relationship with Yahweh, and we live for that. We set aside our pursuit to pursue Yahweh. And as we do that, we won't make golden calves. We may get busy with things and all these, and we may forget to do some things we intended to do, but we will not set up golden calves. Because, this is what happened. The people set up the golden calf, and they said, this is your Elohim that brought you out of the land of Egypt. Well, that was a lie. But they said, this is your Elohim. And then Aaron took it one further and set up an altar and said, tomorrow we will have a feast to Yahweh. Now, Aaron didn't exactly say, this is Yahweh, but read how all this came into place. The people are saying, this is your Elohim that delivered you. Aaron sets up an altar and says, let's have a feast to Yahweh. Right after they say that, yeah. So they make offerings and do crazy things. And then Moshe comes down from the mountain after Yahweh says, hey, go check out what your people are doing. Right? Which kind of leads us into the next part. Stone. We talked about silver, gold. Now we're going to talk about stone and what that represents. We talk about the stone tablets, but we also talk about the hearts that were stone that are to be made flesh. And what's the connection between the two? So these are what we're going to look at here. So Exodus 32:15. So Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and the two tables of the testimony, that's the two tablets that Yahweh had written, the two tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides, On the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, there's a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh to the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger grew hot, and he cast the tables out of his hand, and he broke them beneath the mount. So he had these tablets. He had just went up, and the people said, all that Yahweh has said, we will do, and we will be obedient. He goes up, he gets these tablets, and he comes down, and after people just said, we'll do it, then they're not. Immediately. Okay? So I've heard many relate this as well to a betrothal or a wedding ceremony, a betrothal at the mountain. I was a husband to you, Yahweh says, when I brought you out and brought you to the mountain. And the ketubah would be the writing of the covenant that Yahweh upholds for you, and that this life together, this covenant that's given. So you could say in that aspect, he broke the ketubah because the people broke their covenant. They broke their vow. All right. So we have here a picture of the first covenant broke. Here's the thing, guys. Did Yahweh change his word when the people broke faith right here? No, he did not. Because the people stepped away. It wasn't the word or Yahweh who stepped away. The people stepped away. The people broke it. It's kind of like when you go to Hebrews chapter 8, and it says, before you read the part where it says the fault of the covenant, for the first covenant's going away, right? That's not exactly what it says. All right, where we read what was the fault in the covenant that was given before, not the covenant itself, but that people were human and failed. The people failed. That was the fault. Yahweh found fault in them. He did not find fault in his words. Okay? So it's not the words or the covenant or the testimony that was the problem. The problem was the people professed faith in Yahweh and then immediately broke it. So in regards to this, what happens next? Does Yahweh say, well, that's it. My word is obviously too holy, too high, too righteous, too high of a standard. Let me simplify it, bring it down a little more so that way you can do it. Is that what he does? No, absolutely not. He doesn't change his word at all. What he does is he changes the people. He changes you. So let's go on and let's look at it. Hebrews 8, 7-12 says, for the first covenant had been faultless. Again, just kind of throwing this out there. That word covenant is not in the text. It's written when they translated, because again, in the writer of Hebrews, sometimes they're talking about covenant, sometimes they're talking about the priesthood, sometimes they're talking about the tabernacle. Okay, so you kind of have to look to see what's being talked about when, right? So if the first had been faultless, then should have no place been sought for the second. So why wasn't it faultless? What was at fault? Was it the covenant or was it the people? Right? Keep reading. It tells you. For finding fault with them, for finding fault with them, he says, behold, a new day has come when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, but I regarded them not, says the Lord. So again, does Yahweh change his covenant now? No, he does not. Keep reading. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind, write it in their hearts. I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities I will remember no more. Remember we talked about just that phrase, remember? To remember means to act on behalf of something. It doesn't mean just forget. Yahweh doesn't forget. When he says, I will not remember, means I will not act on behalf of them anymore. Okay, so when he says, I will remember, and their sins and their iniquities, I will not act on behalf of them anymore, because they have been atoned for, they have been forgiven, they have been redeemed. So the penalty or the wages of those actions will not come back to them. Jeremiah 31 talks about this as well. The word doesn't change. He changes you. He takes the same word and he writes it on your heart. He puts it in you instead of now just something you read externally. It now has a means to get inside of you to change you. Jeremiah 31, verses 31. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband to them, says Yahweh. Verse 33, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts. I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Okay, so back to the context of these things. What's the context of what's going on? The second set of tablets. The tablets that were given after the golden calf. The tablets that were given after the ones were broken. Not too many people realize there was a second set of tablets that were made. And they didn't change them. But there is a difference in how they came to Yahweh. All right? So let's take a look at a few things. Yahweh said to Moshe, so you broke these tablets, you guys broke my covenant, you broke my words, literally broke my words. So the first ones, Yahweh cut the stone, wrote and engraved his word on that stone, and gave it to Moses. Now this time around, Yahweh tells Moses, you bring me your stones, you cut the stones, you bring me your stones, and I will write the same word on your stones. So again, we're looking at something that was just given to us, or something that is ours that we lay down, give to Yahweh, and have him do something on behalf of that. We are bringing something of ourselves to him. Back to that idea of Shabbat, right? Back to that idea of price versus value, right? People don't tend to value or appreciate some things that other people do for them. If someone gives you a gift that's a really expensive gift, but you don't know what it is and you really don't have any use for it, it doesn't mean anything to you. But to them, it was a really expensive gift. So the price was there, but there was no value for what you saw. So we learn a lesson here. We have to have a direct involvement or pay the price for ourselves for something to understand the value of what is happening here. Okay, the people saw the glory at Mount Sinai. They saw Yahweh and they backed away. The same glory was in the tabernacle and they could approach for worship. See, at Sinai, it was all Yahweh. Yahweh came down on the mountain. But for the Mishkan, it was a co-labor. The people built and constructed the tabernacle. And then Yahweh came and dwelled in that. The same Yahweh, the same presence, the same glory, but it was a co-labor. I have a vested interest and value in this. I understand what took for this to get here. 2 Samuel 24:24 says, the king says to Araunah, no, but I will buy it from you for a price. I will not offer burnt offerings to Yahweh, my God, that cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. Again, David wanted to make offerings to Yahweh, and the guy who owned them said, you're the king, you want to bless Yahweh, you want to do an offering to Yahweh, you know what, just take them, they're yours. And David said, shall I offer Yahweh that which cost me nothing? That's not my offering, that's your offering. Okay, so again, it's presenting of ourselves. And so in this, Yahweh gave the tablets to Moshe, he broke them. Now Yahweh says, you bring me your tablets and I will write on those. Did he change what was written? No, he did not change what was written. But this time, you took the tablets, you brought them. And this is the idea of you and your heart. What does Yahweh write? Writing his Torah, where does he write it? As you come to him, in you, on your heart. 2 Corinthians 3:3 says, for as much as you are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Messiah ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, but in fleshy tables of the heart. See, the hearts were stone, but yet we see this in the prophets, right? In Ezekiel 11, where Yahweh says, I will take the heart of stone from you and give you back a heart of flesh. I will write my word within you. I will give my spirit to you. I will put my spirit within you. All of this going on when he takes that heart that you have here, when you surrender it to him, it becomes soft and pliable toward him, no longer hard as stone, like Pharaoh's heart, hard as stone. But now it's soft and pliable, and he can write his word, inscribe his word on your heart that is given in there. Okay, so even this as well. In Exodus 34:1, where he tells Moses, cut for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first. The word for tablets is luach. Luach. Now, interesting side note, luach is also the word for calendar. So as we come to Yahweh, he inscribes his word on our hearts, but he also inscribes his cycles and his seasons on our heart as well. Passover, the spring, that all talks about redemption. And then Shavuot, it talks about the giving of his presence and his spirit to help lead us in life and along the way. And then we talk about the fall festivals to talk about the return of Yahweh and life in the kingdom. When we come to him, he inscribes his calendar on our hearts and gives us his word, his cycles, his appointments, and the times that he desires for us to meet with him. Proverbs 7:1-3 says, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. My law is the apple of your eye. Bind them upon your fingers and write them on the tablet of your heart. See, it was not a new concept that we see in the New Testament, right? Proverbs talks about here about writing the word on your heart. So the second set of tablets, Yahweh said to Moshe, bring the 2 tablets like the first. I will write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets that you broke. So where he says, I will write, the write is the word katav. Katav means to engrave something. See, the implication is to write. It literally means to engrave. So what happens when you engrave? You're removing pieces of something to reveal the word that's there. So when Yahweh is engraving in your heart, he's removing pieces of things that don't need to be there. So what's left is his word, right? These are the words of the covenant, the words that he has given us, the words for life. Deuteronomy 9:10-11 says, Yahweh delivered unto me the 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spoke with you in the mountain in the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, Yahweh gave me the 2 tablets of stone, even the tables of the covenant. And like we mentioned in Ezekiel 11:19-20, I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit in you, and I will take away the stony heart out of their flesh and give them a heart of flesh. Why? Why does he say he's going to take away the stony heart, give you a heart of flesh, and give you of his spirit? Give you one heart, his heart. For what purpose? For what end? What is the goal? Keep reading. Verse 20. That they may walk in my statutes, keep my ordinances, and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. Yahweh writes his word on your heart so that you will keep it, so that you will do it, so that you will walk in it. We see the same thing in Ezekiel 36:26-28. I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you. And I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes and be careful to obey my rules. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God. Again, back to Jeremiah 31:33, this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel in those days. This is the covenant. What is the new covenant? This is it. I will put my Torah on their inward parts and katav on their hearts. I will write it, engrave it on their hearts. Then I will be their God, and they will be my people. Isaiah 8:13-16 says, sanctify Yahweh Sabaoth himself, and let him be your fear, let him be your dread. And he shall be for you a sanctuary, before a stone of stumbling, for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken and be snared and be taken. Verse 16, but bind up the testimony, seal the Torah among my disciples. Check this out. This word among is belumadi, literally means in my disciples. bind up the testimony, seal the Torah in my disciples. That lines up with the rest of the scriptures that we just read, doesn't it? In Isaiah 8:20, it says, to the law and the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. 2 Corinthians 3 and 4. Because you make it clear that you are a letter from the Messiah placed in our care, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God, not on stone tablets, but on human hearts. Such is the confidence we have through the Messiah toward God. So now Moshe intercedes for the people. Exodus 33, as you kind of go through verses 1 through 17, but just kind of briefly giving up here, he says, for I will not go into the midst of you, for you are a stiff-necked people, lest I consume you in the way. Yahweh saying, okay, Moses, y'all go ahead, but I'm not going to go with you if this is the way it's going. If this is how you all guys are going to act, you can't act this way. So when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on his ornaments. Moses said to Yahweh, see, you say to me, bring up the people, and you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found grace in my sight. Now, therefore, I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, show me your way, that I may know you, that I may find grace in your sight. And consider this nation your people. And he said, my presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest. And he said to them, if your presence does not go with me, then carry us not from here. If your presence doesn't go with me, then I don't want to go. Verse 16, for wherein shall it be known here that I and your people have found grace in your sight? Is it not that you go with us? So shall we be separated, I and the people, from all the people that are on the face of the earth. And Yahweh said to Moshe, I will do this thing that you have spoken, for you have found grace in my sight, and I know you by name. We're talking about covenant being renewed. New covenant being renewed. This is what was going on. This is what was happening. Moshe interceding for the people, and then Yahweh telling Moshe, bring me another set of tablets. I will renew this covenant with you. Chapter 34, Yahweh said to Moshe, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first. I will write on these tablets the words that were in the first tables, which you broke, and be ready in the morning. Come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there in the top of the mountain. And no man shall come up with you, neither let any man be seen through all the mountain, neither the flocks or the herds that feed before the mount. And he cut the 2 tablets of stone like the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning, and he went up to the mountain Sinai as Yahweh commanded, and he took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. Okay, verse 9. So again, he says, if I have found favor in your sight, again, all this, he's ministering and interceding for the people. Okay, so verse 10. So he says, behold, I am making a covenant before all your people. I will do marvels such as I have not created since on all the earth in any nation. And all the people among whom you shall see the work of Yahweh, it is an awesome thing that I will do with you. Again, renewing covenant, reestablishing these things. Verse 27, Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words, for in accordance with these words I made a covenant with you and with Israel. So he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread or drank water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. And when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, as he came down from the mountain, Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone, because he had been talking with God. Okay, 2 John 1:6 says, this is love, that we walk according to his commandments. And this is the commandment, just as you have heard from the beginning, so you should walk in it. Ecclesiastes 12:13 and 14. The end of the matter, after all has been heard, is this. What is it? Fear God, keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. That's what we're looking at. What does it all come down to? If you have been set apart, if you have been redeemed, then you need to walk with him. That's what Yeshua meant when he said, walk with me, follow me. It means it's a daily thing, set apart, how we live our life. If we've been redeemed, we need to learn his ways. He writes his word on your heart so that you can walk in it, equipped by his word, equipped by his spirit, his presence. He goes with you, and you carry that wherever you go. It's a lot. There's a lot more that can be said here too, but that's all the time we're getting in for today. All right, guys. So with that, this has been a blessing to you. Please help share it on whatever avenue you watch or you listen. Please share these, help get them out there. It's blessed you. It's going to bless somebody else too, right? So help us by doing that. And if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue making these videos and help putting them out there. We can only do that because you help us to do that, okay? So until next time, be blessed, be a blessing, and shalom.
Thank you for watching Jesus in the Torah. If you would like, subscribe, and share these teachings with your friends. For more resources, please visit HFF.church and visit our campuses in Oklahoma City and Dallas on Saturdays. Remember, everything points to Jesus.